All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever part of the world you're in. We're excited you're here. My name is Jed Norwood with Forex Strategy Secrets, and we are going to present to you today the invitation to take part in the weekly forecast webinar. For those of you who may not realize where you're at, or the emails may not have clarified it, this is a sales presentation. This is not an educational presentation. We're going to talk about the features and benefits of the weekly forecast webinar and talk to you about some of the results we've been having and invite you to take part in that. So if this is not the webinar you thought you were coming to, you're welcome to stay, but you're not expected to stay. But we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a couple of seconds. Make sure that we mute everybody that doesn't need to be talking. And if you do have questions, feel free to type them in the questions area, and we will field those questions as they come through. And I will reserve most of that effort towards the end, as far as myself answering them to the general public here in the webinar. Again, we're excited to have you here. I think that this particular product that we are sharing is one of the most dynamic that we've developed to this point as far as rubber hitting the road when we talk about actually initiating trades and executing trading plans. We host this every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern. Clark, Natalie, and myself put together the material that we use when we're strategizing and developing our trades for the week and developing our plan of execution. And we work together off and on over the years. We've had the opportunity to trade in the inner circle together and on private sessions. And we've just developed a good rapport with each other and know what the other one's thinking. So first and foremost, neither Clark nor Natalie could make it to this session today. But I want to publicly thank them for their expertise, their professional candor, and their skill level in trading. I personally value what they say for my own trades, and when Clark speaks about a news announcement and gives his input on it, I pay attention. When Natalie says, hey, I'm seeing a setup here, I pay attention. And so I have used their feedback in helping me to make better trades, and I would dare say they've done the same or have received the same from me. So we invite people to take advantage of this opportunity. It's not a weak statement when I say that we have some pretty powerful information here that helps us to make some serious pips. So let's just break down and talk about what the features are, then we'll talk about benefits. First of all, we provide you with transparency. You're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is a snapshot of one of my trading accounts and what I've been accomplishing and or struggling with. You can see there's some losses in there and some sideways play. But you know what? I'm having growth, and I know how to recover from mistakes and errors that I make in the market. So for me, this is a typical trade pattern, and my profit factor isn't the best in the book, but it's profitable at a 1.46 right here. That means I'm making money, or at least on the upside, recovering from a couple little bounces here the last little bit, but I'm very excited about where it goes and the amount of profitability that I know I can receive, and the fact that the growth that I receive from the group, this transparency we're talking about, allows me to stay on track. We do reviews. These are snapshots of mine and Natalie's charts of trades that we took, and we talk about them every Monday to share what we did wrong, what we did right. And we're not going to hide any secrets or keep from you a bad or negative trade. We're going to talk about it. We'll say this is what happened. This is why I'm recovering from this, or I took this hit here. And we're not afraid. We're in the fishbowl. We don't care. We're not afraid to say, hey, this is how it is. But the key factor here is we want to provide relevant and timely information, not just to those who are following along with us, but to each other, so that we can make better trading decisions. Then from there, we create currency pair watch lists. What pairs that week are hot, what pairs are not. And we pay attention to specific setups. We trade our individual trading styles, and you get to see 3 different trading styles using the Nth Degree Plus system. And we also hear about news. Okay, Clark provides us with volatility charts with some other information as well. But this gives us a gauge as to what pairs are really worth looking at, what's important, and why we should be paying attention to specific sectors. We talk about segments in the news. We look at the weekly forecast, what news announcements are coming out, and we also break it down on a day-to-day basis, what to expect each day, what days are going to be better than others during that specific week. And we talk about how it will affect the markets and talk about different things globally and economically that are affecting certain parts of the globe and countries that are involved, and how they those news announcements and those things happening in the market will affect the way we're going to have to trade. And this is extremely valuable in the fact that throughout the week we also provide updates, things that took place, strategies that were used, and heads up for things that are adjusting and changing in the markets as news comes out and different things unfold. And this is just a snippet from the inner circle. And again, we give our interpretation and perspectives. Here's an example of one of the snippets that Clark provides. And there's a lot more that happens behind the scenes besides this, but this is the weekly overview. He provides his input, and it's very valuable in helping me to make better decisions, and I know that it helps others make better decisions and avoid certain currency pairs that they normally would have traded, but because the information was given to them in a way that's received by a trader and given to other traders for the sake of trading better, it makes all the difference. He also provides his weekly forecast as well as what he thinks the different pair sectors are going to be doing and how we can pay attention and why they're doing what they're doing. And that way we can be a little bit more cautious and in bearish situations, or know if we're going to be getting into a sideways movement. When you look at for example, this pound, it's talking about a neutral situation that may or may not be a very volatile pair set to be playing with. And so we'll jump into other pairs that have higher volatilities because we want to get the volatility. And so this helps us out. So what does this mean for you? Benefits. Transparency. You're going to know exactly what's happening, and you're going to see our strengths and our weaknesses, and you're going to see our confidence. And that can help you build confidence in the market and give you maybe an edge in overcoming some challenges you're dealing with on an emotional or psychological level, dealing with the stresses of trading. The reviews, you get a chance to see how things panned out from the previous week. And not to mention what happened the previous week, but it kind of sets the stage for what may possibly be following up in the week that we're in currently and going into. Relevant information. Well, we're only going to talk about things that are going to pertain to what we are trying to look for. There's no point in talking about things that aren't going to affect us, or if something isn't going to be a big news mover, then we know that we're not going to want to really focus on that. We want to only focus on the things that are critical to our success. And we want to provide it in a timely manner. This way, you get a chance to get the information when it's fresh, not after the fact. Like a lot of news feeds that they report what happened, but they never tell you what was going to happen and why you'd want to do a certain thing. The watch lists help us make a game plan as to where we're going to go. And if you follow along with that, whether you're trading live or demo trading, you can play the game based on watch lists that we're using, that we've set up based on the relevant and timely information so that we can work together. And that way you have an opportunity to be able to tap into that. So volatility in news segments, well, that gives us a better understanding of what the markets really mean. Over the years, we used to tout, we don't trade the news, we trade around the news. Well, we've learned that there's a lot of information that could have saved us some heartache had we known a little bit more about it. So thanks to our team, we have some really great minds that can decipher what's going on and pull that out and extrapolate it and put it into a format that makes sense to all of us. Putting together the forecasts gives you an opportunity to see what possibly is going to be the best way to trade and follow along with us as we go through that process. Now, as things change and unfold in the market, sometimes things that we thought were going to happen don't happen. So we give quick on-the-fly updates so that you can make shifts or changes in what you're doing rather than going on old information. Remember, we talk about timely information and relevant information. Well, this is where the updates come into play, and we do slight corrections and adjustments as things change and develop in the markets, or as surprise news comes up that wasn't necessarily announced or forecast or projected or anything like that. And with our interpretation and our perspective, and this is where I think the most value comes in, is that you get a chance to see how it affects our decisions in making trades in the market. Now, just for those of you who read the emails and saw the snippet where Natalie Clark and I talk about what kind of trades we did the previous week, which was just last week, not the week we're currently in, but last week, the last week in July, we reported taking some hits in the pound New Zealand. And so the last week in July, I only made 63 pips profit. Clark made 348, and Natalie made 651. And that's with some hits. Pretty impressive. But then, because it was the end of the month, we talked about the monthly values and where we came in at. I had a total of 46 trades. 4 of them were negative. And I made 1,605 pips for the month of July. Clark had 49 trades and 1 loss and had made 1,480 pips for the month. Natalie had 52 trades, 8 losses, with a net profit of 1,652 pips. This is a total profitable pips for all of us combined was 4,737 pips for the month. Now, if you break that out on a weekly basis, the average between the 3 of us is 1,184 pips a week. That's pretty impressive, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as to why I think that's such a fascinating number. But what is it worth? What is this worth to you? Okay, my perspective, my opinion, is hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially, for someone who can recognize the value that comes in that kind of pip counting and being able to turn that into dollars. I think it's worth thousands, hundreds of thousands. Okay, so let's just ask the next question. How much would you be expected to pay to receive this kind of information? Well, let's check out the competition first. Let's do a random search. So I went excuse me, last night I went and just did some quick grabs on the internet, found a few places, wanted to talk about it. The first one here is a robot service, okay, and they're touting 1,000 pips per month. Okay, well that's not a bad number, 1,000 pips a month. However, I've always questioned robots' ability to actually make wise decisions when all of a sudden the criteria and the algorithms that are used in the market change and that robot becomes useless. So that's a questionable concern for me. So that would raise a red flag for me as to, is that number really a long-term value for me? Okay, so here I found, this was the one I found that was most appealing to me, that somebody was following two highly professional, successful, consistent traders on Zulu Trade, and they're making between 2,000 and 3,000 pips per month. Kudos to them. There's somebody that I would consider being somebody that would be in the same ballpark and playing in the same league as we are. Then I typically found a lot of this kind of stuff, 10, 15 to 20 pips a day. Now that equals somewhere between 300 and 500 pips a month. Not too bad. Here's one that said make 1,500 pips per month. Okay, not bad at all. I started that one too. I thought, okay, that's decent. Then, looking at 500 pips here, 200 pips a month here. Those would be poor months in a lot of ways from my perspective and from what Natalie and Clark are pulling down. But some of the pros and cons, I wanted to keep it real, keep it on above board here. I started those two that were showing some competitive numbers, 2,000 to 3,000 a month, 1,500 a month. I think those are worthy, and the fact that they're being traded, this is a pro to this situation, is that they're being traded by people who are making decisions, not computers. Okay, somebody who can make a decision with their gut, in addition to following a proper set of rules, rather than just flat out algorithms that will only act to a certain extent in your favor before something might go wrong. So that made a lot of sense to me. So I really appreciated seeing those numbers. Okay, so I went ahead and dug a little deeper into some of these other places and found a site that offers a membership, and they touted 150 plus pips per month. And I thought, well, what does 150 plus mean? What does a plus mean? So I did a little bit digging, and they said that their average performance for the month was roughly 494 pips a month. And they gave a chart here that showed the breakdown, some negatives and wins and so forth. Not bad. And then they came over here, and I'm seeing on the same site, they're saying 1,800 pips per year. So the numbers didn't quite make sense to me. I thought, okay, fine. So I found some more. It was 100 pips a month, 25 pips a day. That comes out to 500 a month. Again, here's the one that did 1,000 pips per month, but it was a robot again. So it raised a red flag. So there's certain levels of degrees of services out there that provide news feeds. So what would one pay for something like this? I found one here that was charging $97 a month to receive valuable information similar to what we're offering. And then I found two other plans on another program where they're charging $197 a month or $97 a month, depending upon the level you wanted to go into. I thought, okay, well, that's a comparable price. I know that there's others. I couldn't find them online to do a snippet of their shots, so I'm not sure if they're still in business or not, but they were doing $249 a month for their feeds and their trading rooms. I thought, okay, well, that's fine and dandy, but what would you expect to pay here at Forex Strategy Secrets? Well, you're not going to have to pay $197 a month, and you're not going to have to pay $97 a month. In fact, I feel we're giving the farm away. So for a limited time only, you can get this powerful program and tap into the network that we have for only $49 a month. and this, if you get in now using this link, you will not have to ever pay more per month. We won't raise the price on you. And this is the grandfather opportunity to get in on the ground floor. And I feel that it's worth it. And I invite you to take part in it because I believe in it, because it's affected me. And just to tell you the power behind it, a little bit of a personal story here. My life started getting better towards the end of 2014. But prior to that, from the fall of 2014 to about the fall of 2012, that 2-year period, my wife had fallen into a deep depression. And I know she'd probably be very upset if she heard me saying this publicly, but I feel that it's important that you should hear this story. That emotionally put me and my family in a tailspin. We were on suicide watch constantly. The stresses of worrying about her and how it was affecting the kids really took a toll on my trading. And for the most part, I quit trading completely or sharing trades openly because I didn't want to affect the team. And I didn't want to lose money. But I will tell you this. If it wasn't for Clark and Natalie and everybody inside our little network, and there's many more names than just Clark and Natalie that I could give thanks to. But if it wasn't for those people giving me the feedback and the input that they were seeing, knowing that they were sound in their trading and that they were on an upbeat level emotionally, it gave me the confidence to trade their style of trading. And I was still able to make trades, even though I wasn't necessarily sharing a lot of information. But it benefited me, and it got me through a pretty rough time. And luckily, things are much better, and we are back on track, and I'm back in the saddle trading and sharing and giving input as I had prior to 2012. And it's my way of giving back, but because it does take time and effort to put these things together, we definitely want people to know that the value of the $49 a month is far surpasses the value or the price you'll pay each month for this information. You will get access to coming in and listening and getting feedback every Monday in the webinar, but also get access to the inner circle discussions that are going on. Now, here's the caveat with that. If you are an Nth Degree or an Nth Degree Plus user already, you are allowed to ask strategy questions and talk with individuals about specific trade issues. If you do not have Nth Degree or Nth Degree Plus and you're just a Jumpstart user, that's fine. You're allowed to come take advantage of the updates in the news feeds, and you're able to read and see what's going on. But you'll need to upgrade to Nth Degree or Nth Degree Plus before you can start interacting with the other traders in regards to trade strategy questions. Okay, that's the only difference. We will be monitoring that, but other than that, we just want to give everybody a chance to get into this weekly forecast program so that we can help people gain more confidence and be more successful and be trading the same things, following the same information, and putting more eyes on the market and collaborating in the market together. We find that we know what the value is in that, and we are very excited about that. The energy is incredible, and the camaraderie is amazing. It's like a family, and we want you to be a part of that. Again, if you do have challenges with maybe not having enough money for upgrading to Nth Degree, or you need some time, that's fine. Michael can work out strategies with you to get you to that point, but we don't want to hold you back. We still want you to come in to the program and take advantage of the weekly forecast and be tapped into the inner circle. We just will limit your ability to communicate with us until you're upgraded, and that way we can get everybody vetted to the same level. We're excited about this. I hope that this is something that you will take advantage of, and I'm going to put this link. Oops, let me grab it. Into the notes section so everybody can have access to it. Alright, I just sent that to everybody. Is there any questions that we need to answer at this point? Yes, it doesn't include the inner circle. You're going to be invited into it, and whatever level you're at in the home study programs, nth degree, Launchpad, so forth, will determine how much involvement you'll be able to, interaction you'll be able to have, but you'll still be able to take advantage of all the information that's there. We just want people to get up to the same level so that the individuals in there that are trading don't get bogged down with having to answer basic questions when you can get that in the home study courses. Oh, and I need to tell you that the weekly forecasts are recorded and then put onto YouTube, and you're given access to that link so you can go back and review it. Because there's specific information that Clark will give, or Natalie will say, or I'll share that will be important to remember. And so instead of having to take notes, you can go back and watch it and review it as much as you need to during that week. So you'll still have access to all the recorded information and the handouts that we provide so that you have all that information in front of you. And then as things unfold and as trades are taken, we announce those trades. And we try to be as transparent as possible occasionally, and this is one thing that Natalie was really frustrated with. She'll be so busy trading that it'll be 10, 15, 20 minutes, sometimes even an hour before she can actually get to the inner circle to say, hey, this is what happened. Occasionally. Most of the time we try to be very quick about it, and we'll take the trade and then report it immediately. But sometimes it's a little bit later. Or the timing will be off, and it will have, for example, occasionally we'll have a pending order on, and it will be executed while we're away from the computer. And then we announce, hey, I just got in, so I'm looking for some add-on signals, and then we start trading the add-on signals and sharing those. So there's a lot of information that's happening, and we try to do it as quickly as possible. And so the more interaction we have as far as looking for trades as an organization and sharing it openly, the more dynamic that gets for everybody, the more beneficial. Yes, we do have some trade histories, and we do show those. We show those quite a bit throughout the weeks. We will talk about them, and I do try to get copies of the trade histories that we can share, but that's to the members behind the scenes as they receive it, as it comes in. It's reserved for members. The time frames that we trade are very different. Natalie and I trade larger time frames. Clark trades lower time frames, but we all trade the general trend, so we work well together. I'll trade, depending upon what's happening in the market, I typically trade the week, the day, and the 4 hour, and the 1 hour, but occasionally I'll be down in the 1 hour, 30 minute, and 15 minute. Especially when I'm doing add-ons, I'm in those lower time frames. The inner circle is via Skype, so if you have Skype on your phone, you can access it there.
Jed?
Yes, sir.
Back at 10:19, there was a question that kicked this off. Jay asked the question, by listing the combined results of the 3 individual people in the program, are you implying that a single subscriber could have achieved the same result?
Well, I'm not implying anything other than the fact that if you are using a trading plan that's similar to what we're doing, I think that you'll see an increase in your pip counts. But to what level that is, it'll take time to figure that out. I invite you to come challenge it though, and test it out. I do know the growth that took place when I was coaching Clark and Natalie went from 30 pips a day as their goal to 30 pips being not a big deal anymore. And so it varies from week to week. There's weeks when I average between 300 and 500 pips. There's weeks when I can pull down 1,000, 700, 800, 900, or 1,000 pips. There's a little bit of a friendly competition between Natalie and I to see who can get more pips. I'll be honest, she actually out trades me, so, which I'm glad for, because when she says, hey, I'm looking at this, I know it's something I can look at, and I know it's a viable position or a potential position. So mainly it comes down to the fact that we believe that your pip counts will increase if you're following this data and using strategies that are similar.
Jed, if you go back to that, there's several questions that you missed that are probably worth mentioning here, starting with Pam's.
No, this price is for the weekly webinar that discusses what happened the prior week and what's going on the week we're currently in, and then updates in the inner circle. As far as the training program, that's all separate. And so we invite people to take advantage of that as they can, but you don't have to have those training materials to be able to receive these feeds.
Just a follow-up to that question, Jed, would it be helpful to have our training material?
Oh, definitely, because you'll be able to build a trading plan based on the same criteria that we're trading. It'll help you to be able to be more efficient and effective. If I have Nth degree, why do I need this service? Well, I have Nth degree, and when I trade by myself, I'm not quite as efficient, as effective as I am when I have my team trading with me. Well, it's not a matter of training. The training, here's another good question. Is the Nth degree training not enough? Well, the Nth degree training, all it is strategies and understanding how to read the market. But execution, that's a totally different thing. Someone can be very good at textbook information and knowledgeable on being able to talk about it, but execution, that's where the rubber hits the road. So I think it's almost saying, you know, is a retired doctor as smart as a doctor that's working? Well, they both probably have the same knowledge and skills, but one's not practicing and the other one is. And that may not be a good analogy. I was just trying to come up with something that made sense.
One other thing that comes to mind is no one individual trader can see all the trades that are available, or all the setups that are developing.
Yeah, thanks, Kirk. That's probably more valuable than anything, in the fact that we're trading the Nth degree system from our own personal perspectives, but we can see more trades because we have more people looking and sharing about those trades than just one person having to try to decide for everything. Yeah, this recording, or this webinar, will be recorded, so it can be reviewed as well if you want to go through and see the different features. Yep, sessions are recorded and they're left up online so you can review. They are sent to you via an email as soon as they're posted. And usually it takes, we'll do the webinar on Monday morning Eastern time, and due to rendering and getting it from the rendered state to the YouTube state, it typically can take about 4 to 6 hours, depending upon how long our recording goes and how fast the computer decides to work. But it's usually up by that evening with all the supporting documentation. And we get the supporting documentation out as fast as we can, so you have it. But we encourage people to make their trading plans, or excuse me, their watch lists as they're going along with us as we're going through the process. Typically, what I'll do is I'll just listen to Clark's information and make subtle notes while I'm looking at my watch list material and creating that list. And then once I'm done with all of that, and I've presented my information, then I go back and I set my audio alerts and things that are discussed based on what I remember hearing Clark say or Natalie say and what I found myself. And then I'll go back and review it once the recording's up as well, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And then I pay attention in the inner circle for what's going on. The majority of the trades are mentioned in the inner circle. Like I said earlier, sometimes we'll miss one or two or be late on reporting it. But there's a lot of traders putting information in there, so it's you're not going to miss out on anything, or on there. There may be a few things that are missed or late in getting into just because of human nature and the factors that sometimes we aren't all on top of getting information in there. But for the most part, we're pretty quick about getting it in. It's a pretty low-key environment. We're not looking for. Well, none of us want it, actually. If there's too much information coming for us to have to look at it all the time. So we just, if it's something super hot, we want to hear about it. If it's just I think our group's got to the point where if it's just a mediocre position, we're not going to really jump on it. But there's different styles of traders in there, so different things are reported for short-term traders, long-term traders, swing traders, so forth. So you'll learn who's who and who you want to kind of chum with. So you know what, we haven't really talked about whether this is going to be set up in a yearly subscription or not. I'll have to revisit the numbers and we can work something up probably and maybe make that offer here in a little while down the road. I don't think it's going to affect. This is a great question. He says, my concern is if there's a team providing the type of input, how do you think this will impact a student learning and becoming too dependent on and not becoming self-sufficient? Well, by nature of how we do things, we encourage people to get involved and make their own decisions. So I personally don't see that being a problem. However, if someone starts to feel that way, I would want them to tell me, hey, I'm feeling too dependent upon the situation. And then I'd say, well, maybe we need to work up a game plan to help you become self-sufficient. Because I agree, I don't want someone to become so dependent that they can't make a decision on their own. Because I want their input as well. There's a little bit of selfishness in there. I want to know what someone else sees in the market as well. I don't want to be the only one giving information. In fact, we encourage that. We encourage people to say, well, I disagree. I see this instead. It's very valuable to everybody to have a little bit of a question mark in the back of your mind as to whether what someone is saying, something someone is saying or not, is valid or not.
I see this tool as a two-pronged approach. One is to help you to get profitable trades right away. It will help you learn the material more quickly. And even with all the trades that are being presented in the inner circle and the watch list, there are thousands of trades per month and per week that you will find on your own. And you'll know when to add on. So I'd encourage you, it helps you to know how to trade it. Take a trade that someone's given and then add on to it. By adding on, pretty soon you start being able to find those trades yourself. And you can contribute to the inner circle and collaborate with someone else that may be looking at that same position.
Yeah, this is from Greg, and I appreciate Greg's input as well. Greg, you've actually helped me make some good trades with your input, so thanks. He says, hi, Jed, I'm thankful to be trading with some great traders and a great system. Keep up the great work. Thanks for that. Doing an across the world high five because I'm with you on that. I appreciate your input and help. We're going to adjust our schedule, Michael, so that we don't have webinars that fall on Mondays that interfere with this weekly webinar. This we believe is more important than any other training we can offer on a Monday. At least during that time, we may hold some kind of a training later on or a different set of hours, but it's not going to be, we'll try to spread out this so it doesn't overwhelm people. Yeah, we will be emailing out the link and the recording to this session so you can review the information here. That will be coming out as soon as we get this processed. Well, the amount of dollars per single trade depends on the lot sizes. Clark might get mad if I say this, but I know he's trading standard lots. The account that I've been working on is a standard account. So anywhere from, depending upon the size of the trade, it's number of pips times 10. I typically only trade one lot, standard lot at a time. That's where I feel comfortable with my account at this point. So anywhere from an average trade will give me between 300 and 1,000 pips, depending upon the movement. But I'm typically seeing those kinds of trades. And we'll share some of the stats as we get members in there. So you can see some of the screenshots of trades, or not trades, but trade histories. Okay, so that says the link. Kirk, test that link, see if it's working on your end.
Okay. Did you send it over? Or do you want me to just copy and type it in and see if it works?
Yeah, type it in, see if it works instead of taking the copy paste.
Okay.
Oh, he said never mind. I'm in. Okay, it did work for him.
We've actually had orders come through, Jed.
Okay.
So it is working.
So if it's not working, do it in a different browser or type it. Sometimes those kinds of things will happen. We try to get precise entries, exits, and targets recorded. What's more important is the exit and the target. A lot of times, because we'll take the trade, then announce the trade, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes later. It depends on how busy the trading session is at the moment you're in the middle of trading. But if the target still looks good at the point you see the information, or the entry point still looks good at the time you receive the information, then you can still set your targets and exits based on what's happened. But we do report, well, we're supposed to report. Sometimes some traders forget to report the details of why the trade was taken and how they took it. But the goal is everybody will present that information. And I try to encourage people to do that. Again, it's not just me, Natalie, and Clark that are inputting. There's Michael and Mitch, and I shouldn't even be giving name dropping here because there's so many. We have about
lots of traders on it.
40 or 50 traders trading in there, so it's not just us. Now, Natalie, Clark, and I, we're the ones presenting the weekly webinar, but not in the inner circle. We're not the only ones. Yes, Michael?
There are a number of questions here related to if you guys are reporting exact entries and exits and so forth, as well as time, and you're doing it for every single trade, they're looking at this as maybe a signal service, which this isn't intended to be, right?
No, it's not intended to be a signal service, but I think it's very competitive to what a signal service provides people in the fact that it's giving you personal perspective, whereas a signal service is just based on criteria typically, that at least the signal services I've investigated. So I'd rather get the feedback from another trader and have someone I could bounce an idea off of and say, hey, where do you think you're going to go with this particular position? If it does break this point, what's your target? What are you wanting to see done? So there's still a lot of discussion and banter back and forth as to whether a position is worth taking or not. And so I'd rather have that collaboration than just the signal service telling me, here's a position you can take, without any emotional connection to it.
This also helps you to learn the material, learn how to trade.
Yeah.
A trade is taken and it's discussed, and it's not a signal service says here, take it or leave it, and you're relying upon the service. This way you can make your own decision. Well, I don't like that one. Well, I like this one. Or I'm going to take this one, no one else took it. I tried that link, and it has to be case sensitive, so if there's a capital, you have to put the capitals in.
Okay, Mark, I'm going to also, based on this question, I'm still not 100% clear on what the $49 a month gets me. Does it give me access to the trades you are making if I am not an Nth Degree member? You'll still see us posting trades, whether you're an Nth Degree member or not. But if you started asking an Nth Degree strategy question, we would just refer you back to the Nth Degree home study program. But you can see the trades we're taking, and as you start learning who does what, you'll learn the different strategies they're using. For example, Clark uses an EBNA strategy he developed from the Norwood alerts and using the 15-minute and 5-minute time frames. and 5 alarm entries. So that's his strategy. My strategy is a leg 2. Natalie uses a hybrid of the leg 2 and has introduced another part of the strategy as well called the outside bar. So there's a lot of different things going on. Mitch is heavily on pivot points and Fibonacci's and Elliott wave, excuse me. And so we're talking. We have access to all that information in the home study course. Not all of us are trading every strategy though. But I recognize Mitch trades this style, so I can watch what he does. He and I collaborate, and we can trade together, even though we're trading different criteria. And same with Clark and I. But the aspects of trying to learn the nth degree program, in essence, the nth degree program is a list of all the different types of strategies, the nth degree plus part of it anyway, different strategies, and we teach you how to do those strategies, but then you have to find out what combination of those strategies works for you. And that's where the power of the inner circle and the power of tapping into our network of traders becomes more impactful, because then you can start to see the market from different perspectives. And that's why we like it so much. So what I'll do, a question came through there. I'm going to send in the email the link, the recording to this session, so you can go back and review this if you want. And I'm going to send you last week's, the link to last week's webinar, so you can see what it actually feels like. So you can get an idea of what we're talking about. It's old news, but it'll at least give you an idea of what to expect. So that's something I will do here to all people who have attended today to help you in your decision-making process. We're excited about having more people join and get involved in this dynamic environment. And I'm telling you, it does pay dividends when you're having a down day and somebody else can help pull you out of the quagmire and give you a perspective that makes sense and gives you hope that you can look forward to moving forward in the market without being alone in the market. Monday will be the first day that, so every Monday, so next Monday will be the first webinar. You'll receive an email with that link, and or you'll be able to access it. And we're going to verify this. We may have to work out a bug or two behind the scenes, but I believe you can actually access it from the web page. And I can't remember where it is. I'll send out an email describing where to look on the membership page, where to find it. And once we get a follow-up email from you with your Skype address, then we can add you into the inner circle. So that from here on out, it's just communication with me. The best way to initially get things set up is through the Jed at Forex Strategy Secrets email, and then from there we'll direct you to Skype, and then from that point on, the best way to communicate as an Inner Circle member is through Skype, directly with me. What is the GMT times for 8 Eastern? Help me out, guys. That's always been a weakness of mine. I always stick to Eastern time. Is that 12?
Eastern is, that's 5 hours additional, so that will be Eastern 1 o'clock, so 1300. I can verify that, Jed. Check out Daryl's question, because some of the members are in the inner circle having purchased the alerts. Can you talk to that point there, Jed, at 1041, Daryl's question?
No, if you have the alerts package, you're grandfathered into the inner circle. A lot of people don't know that. We've tried to advertise it, but for some reason it hasn't made connection. But you won't get access to this weekly webinar. The weekly webinar is a separate thing, a separate tool. But you'll still, either way, whether you subscribe to the alerts or subscribe to this, you get access to the inner circle. But they are 2 different tools.
So the question was at 8 Eastern, At 8 a.m. Eastern,
Yeah.
that's 12 GMT.
1200 GMT.
Right. That's when the on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's when the U.S. trading room starts. Well, it starts at 12:15, but it's 8:15 Eastern.
Okay, a good question here. For how long will this offer be available? I'm going to keep this particular $49 value offer available through the month of August, and then we're going to reevaluate to see if I'm kind of getting feedback from some of our team members that are getting a little bit of compensation for their time and effort here that's not enough. So I may raise the price to make it more worth their time and effort, but because I know how much time Clark and Natalie put into setting up the material, so it may raise a little bit after August, but that's to this point, that's where I'm going to take it, and then we'll reevaluate then. I think we've covered all. Oh no, there's more questions. Sorry, I thought it was all the way down to the bottom yet. Oh, they've gone already. Okay, Michael. Let's see. Michael contacted him already on that. Okay. So that 4,737 pips was just between Clark, Natalie, and myself. There are other trades, like we said. There's about 40 to 50 traders in the inner circle, and several of them trade just as well. Some don't trade quite as well as that, but they're progressing. And again, Bill asked a question about generally what time frames are we trading. It's a hodgepodge of everything. It just depends on the style of trader. We've tried to make it an environment where both short-term traders and long-term traders can trade side by side and still both benefit each other. And I think it's really been a good environment, and it actually has worked. At first, it was a little bit tricky, and we had two camps. But we've been able to mesh and work together to come up with a really good combination that helps us all see the market. And part of what that entails is having people say, "Hey, I'm trading this time frame. This is what I'm seeing on this time frame, and these are the time frames I'm using." And that way we can, we get clarification as to why they're seeing what they're seeing and what they're doing and what they're targeting, what they're going for. Because we all know that something on a lower time frame can look totally different from something on a larger time frame as far as the criteria for trading the system. And so you could be on a lower time frame and trading long, and I could be on a larger time frame trading short, and we're both right because of what we're seeing. So, and both win or both lose. It just depends on what the market does to us.
So I liked what Jed said earlier about he trades larger time frames for his major entry. But when he's looking for add-ons, you can find more good add-on signals maybe on a time frame or two lower. And that way you can really take advantage of all the market's offering.
Here's a question. What percentage of your money can you average per month trading with only 1% of your account value per month on average? In the account that I showcase quite often, in the month of July, I made $3,000 in that account. In the month of June, I made about 29. Did I say 3,000? Yeah, 3,000 and 2,900 in June. Those are the two numbers I can remember off the top of my head in that one account. The time, I guess to cover the time already, 8 a.m. Eastern or 12 GMT every Monday. So the weekly webinar is just a forecast where we talk about news, announcements, review what we did the prior week, set up a watch list of pairs that we're going to be paying attention to and why, and get a perspective of what the news is going to do to us or potentially do to us. Where the alerts package is actually the NORD alert, the trend alert, and the early bird alert that are automated tools to help us pinpoint specific criteria in the market. So they're two different products. The alerts are $79 a month, and the weekly forecast is $49 a month. There's a session of traders that meet in the ETR. That's the European Trading Room that we have set up that trade the European and London sessions. What would you say the percentage of traders are trading the London versus the U.S. session, guys? Kirk, Michael, any idea? Have we even pinpointed that?
I haven't even taken a look at it. Some of them trade both. And
yeah, so I think it's probably equal. I would suspect, based on the feedback we get.
But there are trades taken all day long in
every
every session. There are trades taken in the Asian session. To answer Vishal's question.
So it depends. The average that you can expect to earn is going to depend on the size of your trading account. 1% of $10,000 is obviously going to be larger than 1% of 1,000. So you just have to look at it from the perspective of how many lots you're trading and what dollar amount you're putting on those lots, whether they're standard or mini lots. That's typically some quick math to determine the average that we're making. You can look at our trade histories and then get an idea of what we're making, those specific counts that we're sharing with the group. But a lot of times, in fact, I was talking with Natalie about this, and she trades her account, she shares her account, but it's not the only account she's trading, and she doesn't like to share her entire wealth with everybody because she doesn't want to come across as being arrogant. So, and I respect that. But just quick math to see what you're doing. I mean, the average, it just depends. Trying to think what was reported. Now, Michael, you did a presentation where you were talking about the number of pips. Or no. We were talking about when we were doing Natalie's coaching sessions.
Yes.
The profit factor she was having. She was having a profit factor of, I think a number that comes to mind is 12.8 or something like that. 9.0?
Over the last 18 months, she has earned consistently €9 for every euro lost. And she has had approximately 3,000 pips a month net average gain. Her 1,600 month last month was a very low month for her.
Yes, it was. In fact, she said, I didn't do very well. I didn't do as well as I expected. And I'm thinking, oh, well, we're really close to each other. So apparently Natalie doesn't believe I traded very well. I mean, I could laugh about that behind the scenes, but she'd have averaged last week 1,652, and I was 1,605. And so she does very well. So I guess to answer your question, I'm not going to put a percentage, whether it's 10, 20%, because it's based on the lot size and the account size. But just know that she's typically doing 3,000 to 4,000 pips a month on average. But even if you just took this 1,652, times it by one standard lot, which is $10, that's a good ratio. Now, she hasn't shared with me how big her account size is. So to give you a percentage of what that account is yielding, I don't know.
I think in answer to Michael's question, 10% would be fairly conservative.
I would dare say yes.
Again, Michael, you as a trader, like me and like Jed, need to focus on first being able to collect a fixed number of pips on a monthly basis. Then we can talk to you about percentages. When you call us and tell us, using your nth degree strategy, I am able to make consistently 600 or 700 or 800 pips a month, personally, the way I trade, then we can start talking to you about percentage increase. Get the pips first.
Yeah.
Secure that, and then we will be able to talk percentages.
And so yeah, I agree. That's a great way of describing that. I appreciate that, Michael. And the other factor that's more important to me than knowing what my percentage on my return on my account is the profit factor I'm at. What's my profit factor? And so that's the number you'll hear me tout quite a bit, because that lets me know whether I'm profitable or not. And so each month is going to vary. Each quarter is going to vary based on what happens emotionally with me and my family and my personal life, and how the markets are reacting and how I'm responding to the markets. So the key factor, I think, is not so much reacting to what is going on in the markets, but responding properly. And that's what this program is all about. How many trades do I do at any one given time? I typically will have between 5 and 6 trades on at a time at the most. I think the most I've ever had has been 12 at a time. But typically at those times, they're going to be add-on signals already in a trend that I'm trading in one pair already. But typically I'll have, most of the time, 3 to 5 trades at a time. Last week, my number of trades taken were only 46. Clark's was 49, and Natalie's was 52 trades for the week. That may seem like a lot to you guys, but if you really look at it over the course of...
Was that for a week or for the month?
For the week.
49 trades for the week.
Yeah. Some of them are only going to be 10, 15 pip trades. Others are going to be a lot larger. It just depends on what's going on in the market and where our targets are. I know Natalie will trade from fractal to fractal, so her trades may be in and out, but she'll still be in the trend in and out quite a bit, all the way through the length of the trend. Oh, excuse me, that was for the month. I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong. Yes, 46 trades for the month, 49 for the month, and 52 for the month. Excuse me. I thought that was kind of high. Let me divide that out by 4. So it's about 13 to 11 to 13 trades a week. That makes more sense. I was thinking, why I haven't traded 46 times last week. Yeah, so we only like to pick. In fact, Mitch really nailed it on the head. He says, I don't have to worry about being in every trade. I can focus on just waiting for the best of the best trades and still make a lot of money. And so that's where Clark and Natalie and I are coming from, is we're not focused on quantity as much as we're on quality.
Mitch told me the other day that he has started making more money when he takes better trades rather than taking just every trade that comes along. There's a better net result. Jed, there's a question. Do you use, are most of your entries limit orders, or are they just actually order execution?
Order execution.
There'll
be a small handful. Over the course of a month, I may take maybe 2, maybe 3 trades that are limit orders. The rest are market execution. I have an account that I'm doing 200 to 1 leverage. And then my other accounts are 50 to 1 leverage.
But the number of trades that you're trading per week or any one time, that doesn't make any difference. You'd be able to trade the same in either one.
Yeah, I don't trade any different.
Right, that leverage will only affect your account size.
Yeah.
Per, well, actually it'll affect your lot size.
Lot size.
Right. 1% of your account shouldn't affect it on a 50 to 1 or a 200 to 1. Shouldn't affect it either way.
Right.
Personally, my average trade lasts 2 to 3 days tops on the larger time frames. My lower time frame trades, I am in and out within an hour or 2. Again, it depends on what time frame I'm trading and who I happen to be team trading with. If I'm trading with Mitch or Mitch or Clark, I'm down in the lower time frames. If I'm trading with Natalie, 2 to 3 days. I used to carry trades over the weekend, but I don't do that very much anymore. I like to close things out, if possible, on Fridays, just so that I can just enjoy the weekend and not wonder how things are going to evolve come opening of market the next week.
One of the things I like about this concept is not every trader is at the peak of their game every week. Not everyone can trade every week. Sometimes people have personal issues. They have vacations. They don't feel well. In Jed's case last month, he moved his whole residence to a new state, and he still pulled out 1,600 pips. I just can't figure out how he did it.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because of the information I received in this weekly webinar. I guarantee that's exactly why I was able to stay on my game, because I knew exactly what the markets were anticipated to do because of the information that Clark had researched and the watch list that Natalie provided. I just went ahead and geared my watch list based on that and knew what my time frames and criteria were as far as time availability. And 46 trades later, I'm able to show a profit. So
that's what that did for Jed is he could spend significantly less time actually trying to find trades, and during that month he was relying upon the system, and many times he's actually contributing quite heavily to the system. So those are just a few things that this is a great value. Give it a try for a month, find out if you like it or not, see if it's going to work for you or not. If it doesn't, cancel it.
Yep.
It's not you have to stay in forever. So if you have a live account and you are trading even small lots, figure out how many lots you'd have to recoup your money. That's not even counting the education that you would have received to enhance your trading skills. So, $49 is a very inexpensive fee for being able to collaborate with individuals. Actually, you're having a conversation with someone at a different part of the world, and that's exciting as I sit and read those, and sometimes I participate with them, but you'll learn a lot. It's worth the $49 to give it a shot.
This program, based on the fact that we've designed it to work for both long-term and short-term traders, will work for both swing trading and for intraday trading. The weekly webinar is recorded and put up on YouTube in an unlisted format, so you'll receive an email if you're a member of it to be able to access it and view it. So yes, they are put up on YouTube just for getting them up quick. In order for us to get them up on the website in the members area, it takes a little bit more effort, and we'd rather trade rather than do behind the scenes work if we can avoid it. I'm not sure I understand your question, Michael. Is it for both sessions, London Open and US Open? Are you referring to the weekly webinar? It's only 12 GMT or 8 o'clock Eastern, so it's only held at that point on Mondays.
It's a watch list for the whole week.
Yeah, for the whole week. One webinar for the whole week. But we do have the European trading session and the American trading session that are the trading rooms that are held Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for the American session, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the Europeans. But those are two different events. They're not even connected to the weekly watch list webinar or forecast webinar. If you have Nth degree, Michael, I'm going to turn this over to you on this question. How's it set up so far at this point for the ETR?
Okay, so for the ETR, Michael, all you need to have is our Launchpad and Nth degree course, and you'll get a lifetime access. There's no monthly fee at this point for the European trading room. You have some access to the U.S. trading room right now on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. However, when you become an Nth degree member, you'll be able to trade with the European session. It opens at London time, 8 a.m., and so you can trade along with that if you'd like. The course is $497, and you can access information about that right on our website under product information. Rather than charging a monthly fee for that. Yes, you can trade any time of day that works for you, Michael.
I've tried to trade the London session
not
and
limited.
it beats me up.
Right. We teach you how to trade indicators, not sessions or currency pairs.
However, I do know that if I'm paying attention to the information that's in these systems, there's occasionally when I see a perfect setup developing, and I'll check it before I go to bed when the Asia session's in full swing. And I don't do this all the time, but occasionally when I see that perfect storm developing on a pair, I'll put on a pending order and let it ride through the European session. Fortunately, and I say this with great care, fortunately I've been lucky to not have lost too many of those. Occasionally it has happened where I've lost on the trade versus won, but I've won quite a few that way. But I like to typically make my decisions based on what I see rather than banking on the market working. So typically what happens is I'll miss a lot of the London moves unless I'm in a multi-day trade because I'm in a larger trend. But I'll miss an add-on or two occasionally. And so I just rely on getting feedback from those guys that are trading that session as to what they're looking for as far as add-on positions or additional entries to play that particular trend or currency, and just try to capitalize that way. So I've found a good niche for me, and I don't have to worry about staying up all night. Michael, did you answer that question for Michael? That last one? Okay. This about wraps it up for now. If you do have any additional questions, you can send them to Jed at forexstrategysecrets.com. That's our main website regarding this product, the $49 package. If you do have any upgrade questions as far as the Integree, Launchpad bundles and getting into the home study program or coaching or anything of that nature, you can get with Michael. Michael at Forex Strategy Secrets. Many of you do deal with him on a regular basis already with different products that he's shared with you or whatever. So that's just the flow we'll take from there. We're just trying to get a gauge as to how popular this product is going to be. So we want to have all communication for this one. Go to Jed at Forex Strategy Secrets at this point. We'll determine what's going on and make assessments. On behalf of our team, I appreciate your participation. We welcome you and invite you to take part. And we look forward to working with you in the future.
Jed, just one more thing before you get off. I heard your question and started to respond and had myself self-muted. So I think Michael has the information there that he needs for making that decision. And Daniel, I've got your email. I'll respond to you right after this webinar. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Jed. Great information here.
All right. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to working with you. And until then, happy trading. Bye for now.